Hello, it is a day later than I usually post. Because the day I usually record videos, I ended up spending literally the entire day, like over 6 hours, doing job applications. One of them is for like my ideal dream job at the school that I want to be at. So fingers crossed, send me some good vibes. I talked to the principal. He has no idea when he's going to actually start interviewing, so that's frustrating, but life. But this kind of worked out well. I'm trying out my new phone to see how the video recording quality actually is on just this phone. I joined Team iPhone, at least temporarily. We'll see how I like it. And I'm doing a response video to Blaque, who just posted a video about, does binary privilege exist? And the short answer is yes, of course it does, obviously. But she said some things that I kind of wanted to address as like a non-binary, genderqueer person, especially as an adult. Because one of the first things I wanted to acknowledge was that adults exist who are like non-binary identified and use they them pronouns and aren't in liberal radical spaces. I am currently in grad school, but I turned 40 last week. I work in a school which can be like, there are aspects to working in a school that are very conservative and other aspects that are very liberal, but it's a pretty traditional environment. Like, I use my they them pronouns with the staff. I don't really address it too much with parents, and it just kind of depends on my situation with different students if that even comes up. That's kind of why I started this channel, was to kind of give that representation to the fact that, yep, you can be an adult and non-binary. It's not just like a phase for people in college. Or it is for some people, and that's fine too. Just do you, find yourself, it's all good. Also, I'm kind of avoiding doing this homework that I really don't feel like doing, but I really need to get done tonight. So the issues, so I talked about the age thing. So a lot of Blaque's like discussion around like non-binary, binary privilege was around like pronoun usage and they them pronouns specifically, which I do use. Not all non-binary people use they them pronouns. Several people I know are non-binary but still use either like he, him, or she, hers. And there are those people who use neopronouns or like Z, here. Ones I can never remember how to pronounce, partially why I don't use them. And I made a video kind of recently where I complained quite a bit about how frustrating it is that I will never be like properly gendered and my gender can't be assumed. But I also talked about the fact that like I recognize that and I understand why. So I'm not, on a conscious level, I'm not expecting to be gendered correctly, but there's that unconscious level of I understand who I am, and so when people don't interact with me that way, it is weird and a little bit disorienting sometimes. That's kind of interesting because it's an experience that trans people have in common with non-binary, genderqueer people as well. There's a bit of difference in experience because for a lot of binary trans people, their goal really is to get to that passing stage. And there's a lot involved in them getting there, and so it's almost like they finally achieved that. I get why a binary trans person just wants people to recognize their gender as it is. But the thing is, that's all that I want as a non-binary person. And like, I get it, like society's not gonna like instantly change. I don't even know that I think that everyone should use they them pronouns for everyone they meet all of the time immediately. But it makes me feel really like included when people introduce themselves with pronouns or ask about them or don't assume that mine are just a he or a she. And it surprises me a bit, I guess, as a trans person that she was kind of dismissive of that, because clearly it's something like she'd been through in her life at one point. But that's just, it is reality. But there's other privileges too that she didn't really talk about at all, and maybe that's comes from from having that privilege. So things that most people take for granted, like when I was filling out my job applications, it asks for an honorific, but it doesn't give a mix as an option. And luckily I could leave it blank because I would have been very uncomfortable choosing anything else. I've been talking a little bit about this. I can't change my legal documents to reflect my gender identity correctly, and that's really frustrating to me. Really frustrating. Like, there are all of these little things where I have to identify myself as either male or female on survey forms, on questionnaires for things, lots of paperwork, and I kind of will just, if I have to choose between one or the other, a lot of times I will stop taking whatever I'm taking if it's not a form I'm having to fill out, I just quit. If it's like a legal thing that I have to complete, I just kind of choose whatever seems the most appropriate, but it's really frustrating. And that seems probably to most binary people really dumb and like they're just like, well, whatever, just put your assigned sex or what's on your identification, but it's not right, and that's the problem. So yeah, like, yeah, absolutely. I don't think that it's like, from a rational perspective, I don't think most people are going to assume my gender, but I'm still going to be frustrated about that, and the fact that there's a resistance in society to say, like, to recognize that it's normal to be non-binary. It might be less common, but it exists and it's normal. Honestly, I can't pick a side. Like, I went through my process of coming out to, like, figuring out my gender, like, coming out to myself, spent a lot of time, like, am I just a trans guy? And I don't mean just, but, like, am I a trans guy or am I, and I was like, no, like, that's just not quite right. And so I'm not gonna pick a side because I shouldn't have to. So anyways, that's just my response, kind of quick thoughts. I just watched her video. And again, like, I don't think everything she said was wrong, but I think it's okay that non-binary people have those thoughts and complaints about society. There's nothing wrong with saying I would like society to change for the better. Like, that's how we get progress, that's how we get places. So I guess let me know your thoughts, if there's anything that you wanted me to elaborate on. This is only like my second cup of coffee today, so if I didn't quite make sense in places, I'll be happy to re-explain them. But otherwise, yeah, have a great, fantastic week, and I will talk to you guys all again soon. Bye.